Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. We want to thank our newest Patreons.
Yes, we want to say a huge thank you to Miss Deborah and Tracy. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys. We couldn't do it without your support. And again, at least twice a week, we are pretty much getting up exclusives. Again, we did one that was deep diving into DNA and RNA and how the past is repeating itself once again. You want to know the future? Look to the Younger Dryas events and get details only on Patreon.
Indeed.
And yet, here we go. This is just a train wreck, and it's just, how do you get off this train wreck? How do we get off the train wreck? That's a great question, right? That is the question. We see what's coming. It's just so obvious.
When I was younger, I rode horses, and because I was little and I was easy to get on new horses, Greenbroke horses, they taught me how to duck and roll. There you go.
Duck and roll.
Yep.
Well, making Ukraine a member of NATO means the U.S. will be going to war with Russia as mandated by Article 5. This is MTG speaking about this, but let's listen to Blinken's own words right here.
The determination of every country represented here at NATO remains rock solid. We will do everything that we can, allies will do everything that they can to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to continue to deal with Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, an aggression that gets worse with every passing day. Ukraine will become a member of NATO. Our purpose at the summit is to help build a bridge to that membership.
You know, that's a declaration of WW3, and that is the definition of insanity. Ukraine didn't exist when I graduated high school. It didn't exist. There was no independent country of the Ukraine. No. And, so they're going to kill millions and millions of people, potentially more than that, for something that didn't even exist 50 years ago. Yeah, this is really the trying to give the public a logical explanation for what's going on. Meanwhile, other than just pure evil, diabolical, there's just a lack of words to describe what's gone on in Gaza with Israel. And they are amassing ballistic missiles near the port city of Eilat. They're moving a lot of heavy equipment in place, bracing for an attack that's coming from Iran at some point in time. Tel Aviv is thought to be a main target, again, up north towards the Lebanese border. As you see here, transfer of electronic warfare equipment. I've been meaning to share this for a few videos, and I keep forgetting. But Cindy was channeling in the middle of the night about 2 nights ago, and it was interesting. That's what was coming through. In case you missed the video we did talking about Ezekiel 38 and Ezekiel 39, the Gog-Magog war, which again is part of the script that we're now going through and living through. It's going to start. This is what we're kind of waiting for. We're waiting for that event to start. Well, what's interesting is the information that came through from the guides, and then Cindy could remote view and look and see other details about it, is that Israel does actually possess information and technology that other countries don't. And while there is a governance, a governing system on the planet that ultimately leads off planet, there are groups on the planet that hold information to themselves. This is kind of the nature of the beings that run this planet, and also the nature of the system itself. These are like groups of sharks or alligators, cold-blooded crocodiles that are just, You throw a piece of meat in there and they're all going to go after it and they'll chomp at each other. It's just their very nature.
And I gotta say, some people still think that it's just humans doing this to humans. That's all they could see is just, I've only seen humans doing this to humans. And to that, I ask you about nature. And when we look to nature, and we've told this story a few times about the black ants and the red ants, and they will go along peacefully. They will make their homes. They will gather their food. They will help each other. Sometimes, but they won't get in each other's way. But if you get those ants and you pick them up and you shake them and you rattle them, those ants are going to think that they're attacking each other. And this is where we're at. Humans believe humans are attacking each other. Now, how high does this go? It's not exactly clear. But a lot of these leaders that are in head positions, they know that their jar is being rattled by something else. They know that they're being controlled by something else. They are hyper aware of some of these strategies that are used by off-planet entities. And, they like where they sit. They like their throne, so they stay there.
Well, share some about the information that Israel has that other nations, let's say, and other groups don't really have. For one, they have an AI that's more advanced than Google. That Google is not the pinnacle, but again, Google is part of the system. But there is an AI that Israel has or is privy to that others don't.
It's similar to Google Glass from what I could see. It's similar to Google Glass. They do have the ability to look in and see the better strategies with this thing. It's like Google Glass. I don't have a name for it, unfortunately.
We have shared, for those that have listened to a lot of the channelings that we were doing in times past, again, channeling takes a big toll on the physical body to literally do full trance channeling. So we do that a little bit, but more now we do partial trance just because of maintaining Cindy's health, because we don't want her to die before her time. I want to keep her around as long as I'm around. That's for damn sure. And when we were doing that, though, it came out that the Galactic Federation has what we call a timeline simulator. And they shared that they run it. You could think of it as a very advanced AI type of thing that simulates events and gives you most likely probabilities. Well, Israel has something like that. It's kind of like not quite as powerful, let's say, or as detailed as what the Galactic Federation has, but it's still well beyond anything that people would probably conceive of here. So they run their simulations and they run their likely outcomes. And this is exactly why they do what they do. They also have different types of weaponry that are available to them. And it's not that, say, at the highest levels in the U.S., Russia, China, Iran, even levels of government, don't understand that they're going to create this war scenario that's going to eliminate citizens on all sides. They do understand that, and they understand that it's a bigger purpose. Yet still, they will go ahead and run their simulations for whatever will benefit them the most.
Yeah, well, they're definitely going to do that, but they also have access to other weaponry that you could look to the Bible for some of it, things that people just don't understand. And that's what was where I was getting blocked and not being in a deep enough trance. It's just like, I know, and I can see these things, but I don't have the right words for them. But Israel is definitely not a place that is lacking. They know things. They know about different locations. They have dimensional understanding. Things that the others are not privy to. But that's not to say that they're going to win and they're going to win everything. It's just they're holding back quite a lot, more than one would think when it comes to the extraterrestrial understanding and weaponry.
Yeah, one of their top officials had come out and said, that ETs are real, and gave some pretty good detailed info that we covered and many others covered as well. When you look to Ezekiel 38 and 39, and they talk about, God showing it's God's power, and again, the Anunnaki recognize that the control system that's here, that lower level control system, is what we would call the Ajiji, which again comes from Mars. And so it is hidden, we can say, in the guise of the Abrahamic tradition. And I hope you guys understand what I'm saying there. The UAE suspends diplomatic relations with Israel, and they're all lining up on the other side at this point in time. Panic mode in Israel. The Zionist regime is evacuating its embassies in Azerbaijan, Egypt, Jordan, Bahrain, Morocco, and Turkey. At the same time, locally, scores of people hospitalized last night in Tel Aviv for heart attack and anxiety because of fear of the retaliatory attacks. Well, if you look to Ezekiel 38 and 39, they talk about so many bodies being there. It takes months to just clean things away, like 7 months. And then for years, there will still be bones being found. There's going to be so many bodies because of the war that's coming. Nostradamus again spoke of great disasters in April and also a great Islamic jihad in the month of April. So again, he was part of the inner circle of both the church and royalty. So obviously he would know. The other thing too, which I know I haven't done a good enough job at getting across, is the fact that we live in a multiverse. This has all happened before. And so there's a lot more to go into along those lines, with the fact that there's these repeating cycles that we go through, and I've used the term Groundhog's Day, and it is like Groundhog's Day. And sometimes when we have these deja vus, or if we have those Mandela effect moments, it's because we're at a key point in time and we're revisiting what's happened in other cycles. Again, in the Eastern mind, time is not linear. It's cyclical. It might look like a circle, and that's the Ouroboros, what looks to be a snake eating its tail, a symbol for eternity, and also a symbol for the nature of really time in reality. But again, it's more like a sine wave and more like a helix when we think about it. And then you could look at it as a double helix when you have different timelines breaking off from one another, or a 12 helix like our DNA was at one point in time. It's really fascinating when you delve into consciousness. And again, the Yoga Sutras, the Shiva Sutras, the Bhagavad Purana. There's so many books, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, that get into the nature of consciousness and also exploration of the universe. Because in those books, there's no doubt about extraterrestrials. They're remembered very, very well. The battles of the extraterrestrials here on Earth that we witness in the skies over our heads, those times are remembered very, very well. And, that is something that dominated the Bronze Age. And that's where we are yet again, entering the Bronze Age. We're entering the time period where you will see things like that going on, if we could make it long enough in this war that's coming upon us. And you have here Biden saying he spoke to Netanyahu to emphasize that strikes on aid workers and humanitarian situation that exists in Gaza are totally unacceptable. Israel must implement steps to address civilian harm. It's a little bit late now, isn't it? A little bit late. Yeah, they've made sure it's totally too late. And so it's inevitable what happens next at this point in time. And meanwhile, we still have like all sorts of bizarre incidents going on, like this particular ferry that caught fire in Thailand. So it's just been bizarre. There was a crane in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that collapsed. What's going on? Is it people suffering from accidents of a kind, bad judgments, clogged arteries? Is it the signals? Is it the frequency? Is it just a lot of sabotage? Is it a mixture of all the above?
I could say it's probably a mixture of all the above, and then we have this clip here, which I found it to be very, very sad, because he's actually smiling and giggling as he's shooting somebody's house up, and he's okay with that. And that's just a level of humanity, supposed humanity, that I can't relate to. I just can't. And so in that sense, what I don't understand does scare me. This is the type of mentality that I fear, because I cannot connect with it. It's just something that's very deep and dark and sinister. And how could that be okay? And what has this person been through to make something like that okay? You just got to wonder.
Well, again, it's so many things layered upon one upon the other. All the dates for men and not knowing exactly what is influencing the bodily systems, the mental state of the being. So many things that are illegal, which people will take for anything from depression to anxiety, that literally opens you up to total demonic possession. It's all the above. The system is really a travesty. And this is part of the separation, because, there's going to be individuals that just can't handle this anymore. And it's really apparent. Here you have somebody going to work at Lockheed Martin, and you have people stopping them saying, don't you realize that what you are doing is destroying lives? Don't you realize that you are, by doing your job, you are actually helping to take people's lives away, causing all sorts of pain? Can't you understand that? But this person is only thinking of themselves and providing the life and lifestyle for themselves and their family. So this is where we're at. A lot of people are waking up from this slumber and recognizing that this world is really screwed up, and are at the same time having their minds boggled by people that seem to be totally okay with it. This is where the separation comes. And some are going to choose to stay in it and some are not. Meanwhile, China is conducting military live fire exercises along the border with Myanmar. There's just this getting ready. And then here you have cows being fed directly into their stomachs. Now, tell me this is just a joke and a meme, but the reality is, whether this is a joke and a meme or not, this is exactly what they would do, not only to cows but to us, and just hook us up and give us our daily slop, loaded with all sorts of mind-altering, life-shortening goo.
I don't know, and that looked a little bit odd, but sometimes if you want to know what the controllers have in store for you, look to see what they're doing to the animals.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive retrospective adjustments made to temperature databases. They're just basically changing all the temperatures that we've had recorded from 1915 to 2000, and they're revising them. This is what they do. And again, can you trust anything? We can't trust anything that they tell us. And some will say, why are you trusting what the system's telling you? Because you just read something like this. And it's like, well, where are these people coming from? Do they not have an ability to actually listen? I don't think they do. I think there's so much assuming going on Again, that makes an ass out of you and me. Because people don't listen. Not the regulars. You guys that are regulars, you get it. But see, we're all in the minority. Most people are still so asleep. Yet there are those awakening. But man, it's not coming quick enough to change the paradigm. So that whole thing about the little baby Nazca mummy bodies, which, some have said are nothing but paper mache, et cetera, all of alien and, the existence of aliens, ufology, it's not all tied up in one event. And some people that don't want to believe that there's life out there, or that aliens have been here on the planet, they'll just look at one thing and they'll say, how could you believe in that? Or they'll say, that's a hoax, but it's been proven to be a hoax. As if there's, all the other millions of pieces of evidence are all hoaxes too, because that's what they want. They want their paradigm to be the correct paradigm. Well, it doesn't hinge on the DNA of these bodies. But everything is curious when you're watching all this coming down. And here you see, let's listen to this.
Breaking news, we're here at the Nazca Mummies press conference here at the Sheraton Hotel in Lima. During the middle of Joas Mantia's speech, a group that appears to be from the Ministry of Culture has came in and literally grabbed the microphone from Joas Mantia and just started taking over. There appears to be a great conflict going on right now. I'm a little confused as to what's happening, but it's chaos here at the Sheraton Hotel in Lima.
And so this is what happened there. And here they're just basically, I'll let them speak, but kind of saying, we got to do a little bit more investigating here. We can't come to any definitive answers.
I think Dr. McDowell summed it up, and you asked about other studies. Well, certainly we would want to, there's been some preliminary DNA studies. We would want actual, very definitive DNA studies done at high complexity laboratories. The carbon dating needs to be repeated with more sophisticated methods. Those are the things that we're looking for. Our preliminary investigation really just led to the fact that more investigation is needed.
Yeah, so in other words, we're not ready to disclose because we're just not ready at that. And we're not at that point yet. Yet, Brian Forrester on those elongated skulls had clearly shown that the foramen magnum, that's where the spinal cord goes into the skull, is totally different in different spots. There's different number of plates in some of the skulls. So and then the DNA did come back that they're not us. So there's something else. And there's always been that missing link, which again, it comes from the stars. That's the reality of this. But all you gotta do is go and look at some of the ancient Hindu books, which clearly tell you of all. I mean, they come right out there and say there's hundreds of thousands of humanoid species in our galaxy. That clearly, hundreds of thousands, and they even categorize them by different names, Hindu names that people wouldn't necessarily recognize. But it's just, of course, this is something they've always known, but it gets washed over because of the Abrahamic tradition and wanting to turn everything into angels, fallen angels, and demons.
I just want everything to look like this guy. I mean, this guy is really cute playing with his butterfly, even if it is an AI butterfly. I mean, this is just adorable. How can you not get nice heart thumps when you're looking at this? He's just so cute.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a cutie there. As always, guys, we look forward to your comments. Stay prepared out there. After the eclipse, anything can happen, and it likely will. So, be as prepared as possible. That's what we're doing in between the videos as much as possible, and in between clients. There's so much to do and so little time to do it. But take your time to enjoy nature.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.